What's going on, everybody? What's happening? Happy New Year to you. Welcome back to Unleashed. About the fourth or the fifth show we've done. So appreciate you guys hanging out. I got to tell you, I mean, I'm absolutely fired up about Mendoza. We'll get to some other stuff. How the Yanks and the Mets whiffed on Imai. Obviously, the story with Heyman about the Yankees maybe being interested in Bashette. Got some hot stove for you, but. Listen, I don't need to see anything else from Fernando Mendoza. He's got it all. I mean, he's big, he's a good athlete, incredibly accurate, but most importantly, and this is why the Jets need to do whatever it takes to get this guy. And I'll get into the Raiders, the complications there, and obviously the Giants, if the Giants lose, and then the Giants are too. I'll get into all those different machinations. But think about this, guy. The thing that's been so elusive for the Jet quarterback, all right? They've had guys that can throw. I mean, Zach Wilson could throw it, across an ocean on the run. Sam Darnold had a pretty good arm, pretty good athlete as well. They've had guys that timed well at the combine, that threw well at the combine. You know what the Jets never have? The Jets never have a sound decision maker who, oh yeah, by the way, also has the requisite physical attributes to be a stud. Mendoza's the guy. I mean, that's it. That's all there is to it. Yesterday was a phenomenal day, nursing the hangover, late night the night before. Yesterday was a gift from the sporting college football NFL gods. As much as this year, at least with the Jets and the Giants, has absolutely sucked, pretty much like every other year, you could just sit down on the couch and you could get in a little Dante Moore, see what he's got if you haven't watched him yet, which I have, but many of you kind of just, well, maybe not many, some of you jumping into this quarterback evaluation pool now. And then right after that, you get to watch Fernando Mendoza absolutely toy with an Alabama team. Now, let me at least just get this out of the way because I know he didn't play well. They didn't score. He got hurt. I actually think, not for the Jets at 3 or wherever they might be, I actually think Ty Simpson is better than some of you think. If you've watched Alabama this year, they can't run the ball. I mean, they're asking this kid to throw the football 72, 73% of the time, which is just untenable. So I actually think if he comes out and there's somebody in that, 13, 15, 18 range, whatever, I wouldn't go nuts if somebody took him. I wouldn't proclaim that it was a bad pick, put it that way, just because he didn't do anything yesterday. And Alabama is just a shell of what they used to be. But to me, and again, you had to have watched Mendoza for most of the season, even going back to the game with Oregon early in the year, rainy, which obviously portends, you would think good things in the inclement, especially I feel like every Jet home game it's raining. The inclement weather at MetLife, the winds, the rawness, the chill. Like he's played well in some very tough conditions, right? So I checked that box a long time ago. Now, we don't even know if Dante Moore's coming out, right? We don't know that. But yesterday in that game, I am missing super chats. I want to make sure. Guys, I got to figure this out, all right? So as I do this, from one Brooklyn boy to another. You know what? Good job on that, Colt. Pop those up for me. That'll make it easier. From one Brooklyn boy to another, wishing you nothing but the best, BT. I appreciate that. Telly Lot 77, thank you, salute. Get the word, like, subscribe. If you're on X and you're seeing this for the first time, obviously at some point, jump to my YouTube page and like it and subscribe it. A lot of different content out there. And I'll tell you about something that doesn't pertain to the New York sports scene that I did as well. That is up there, but I'll tell you about that later. All right, so the play early in the game, it's third down, it's 3rd and 2. Indiana's pinned at their own 10. Now, I knew Indiana was going to win, but, you never know. You have an early wacky occurrence, and they are young athletes, and sometimes young athletes process pressure differently. They could be a little fragile, or they can be emboldened, depending upon what happens. So if Indiana punts early, and at that point Alabama would have had a short field because they would have been punting basically from their end zone, probably get it around midfield, you don't really know where the flow of the game is going to go. And not so much about that I care that Indiana won, although I was absolutely rooting for Indiana because I love the story, and it's just amazing. That third down play, 3rd and 2, so subtle. And this is the thing that, and I've already been sold on Mendoza, but when you see stuff like this is what should tell you this should be the guy. And by the way, also the guy for the Giants, which I'll get into in a minute. But this is what the New York Jets never have. They never have a guy on 3rd down. And by the way, Indiana, number 1 in the NCAA in 3rd down conversion rate. Now, I know they run the ball well. I know they've got a great coach, so the schematics are fantastic. But that is low. I can promise you this. When Mendoza goes to the NFL, they might still be really good on third down. They're not going to be number one. You could book that. They're number one because Mendoza. Anyway, takes the snap, and he does a conventional drop, and he's kind of flown out to the right a little bit. And, somebody on Alabama, I think it was a DN, kind of cracks through and is coming at him. Now, you have two choices. You can either speed things up and get sloppy and, make a bad throw, or maybe try to run it and maybe get stopped, or maybe try to run it and get it. But what I loved about that play, and the play that I'm talking about, it was the least amazing play that he made all day, maybe all year, if you really like in terms of his highlights. But it was the play that once again should tell the Jets that this is the dude that you want leading your team, period. I don't want to hear about punting to 2027 and when you've got the 3 first-round picks and Arch who's looking better and better and better. I get that. This is the guy. Now, how do you get your hands on him? I'm not entirely sure. I've got a plan. I'll divulge it in a moment. But on that rollout, you could see the defender coming at him. And as he's going like in a straight line toward the right hash, at the last second, he so quickly processes that this dude's going to either bat down my pass or get me. You actually see him kind of just flow backwards, maybe 1.5 yards, maybe 2 max. It was subtle. And as he does that and creates that extra space to get the ball off, he jumps off 1 foot like Jeter in the hole, and he throws a dime, not a laser, but the play, because he didn't have to. The placement was a keyhole. There was one place to put that football, and Mendoza put it. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And those are the things, if I'm Muji and I'm watching this, I don't need to see anything else. He's 6'5", he's 225, he runs well enough, he's a great kid, he's never going to get in a lick of trouble, you never have to worry about that. He's a phenomenal teammate. And by the way, when you look at his body type, and this ties into Dante more in a moment, you give him 2-3 years in the weight room, he's going to be 6'5", 235 easy. And he's going to carry that weight easy. It's not going to be like trying to stack, 12 pounds on Zach Wilson's tiny frame. This is a big dude. This is a real man. And this is the quarterback that I want for the New York Jets, period. All right. Robert Huertas, or Huertas. Thank you, Robert. Hey, BT, Jets fan here. I think we need a new owner. Well, that's a given. I could do an entire 5 hours on how I wish Woody Johnson didn't own the Jets. He's awful. And our own stadium, that would be nice as well. It will always be Giant Stadium despite being called MetLife. That part I disagree with, because where I used, 5B or 5C? Wherever I used to tailgate for those couple of years that I had the tickets with Parcells for the Jets, our spot, like 40 deep, right, was staring at that. Now, I've got great respect for the Giants, but from my perspective, staring at that ugly Giant Stadium neon sign. That was Giant Stadium. They would just wrap it in green when the Jets showed up to play football. So, no, it's not the Giant Stadium. It's the Jets and the Giant Stadium, and it sucks. Both ways. When the Giants play there, it sucks. When the Jets play there, it sucks. Yeah, at night, it looks a little bit better because you got the neon, whatever. They're not getting a new stadium anytime soon, and it's not Giant Stadium. It's MetLife. Now, here is what the hell is that? Why is that popping off? Now we see. If you guys can see the amount of technology that I have in this room, it is, oof. And the problem is my son's going back to school on Monday. Usually the kids are home. You're like, get out, just go back to school. Mommy and Daddy got to get back on routine. Come on, get out of the house, come back, get back to the practices and the games and the daily slate. And I'm lamenting when, he's, and my daughter as well. But I'm like, that's my producer. Maybe we'll do homeschool, get this thing running. Okay, so you ask me, well, genius. All right, you love Fernando Mendoza. You love him. Well, how are you going to get him? Because the Raiders are going to pick first, obviously, in almost all probability. So let me at least give you this. I don't want to assume that all of you know this. I know that some of you do. I get that. Bottom line, there's an infinitesimal percentage that the Jets get the first pick. Of course, that's our luck, and they won't get the first pick. But the way they could do it is Jets lose to the Bills. There's not a safer bet in the history of football. There's not a freaking chance in hell that now the Giants seem to win a couple of games that they shouldn't, and over the years, and the Jets did do with the Rams in the Lawrence sweepstakes, but generally, like when the Jets bleed out, the Jets at least give us the gift of bleeding out and not messing things up. So they're not going to mess this up. They're not going to beat the Bills. Now, when they lose to the Bills, the Raiders and the Giants, okay? Obviously, if they win, well, now the Jets are and even potentially the Browns. And then, of course, you incorporate, like if things went incredibly favorably for the Jets, which there's like less than a 1% chance that'll happen, then you would also have to look at strength of schedule. I don't want to bog you down with that nonsense. They're not going to get the first pick. So it would take an act of God, which will never be bestowed upon the Jets, I'm sure, to get the first pick. And it would take an act of cruelty from the football gods to pick worse than fourth. So where they are now, third, I think that's where they're picking. And maybe there's an outside chance they pick fourth. Listen, I do think that, where's the, what's the numbers here? I think there's actually a slight chance that the Giants can win, and I actually think that there's a slight chance that the Raiders could win. Who knows what these teams are constructing in terms of trying to, flush these losses down the chute as much as they can. I don't know. The whole Max Crosby thing with the Raiders, that was pretty interesting. So, the Raiders right now, they're taking on Kansas City. Vegas is 5.5-point dogs. I would think that the Chiefs will somehow find a way to win a grotesque bet the under. Ugly, low-scoring eyesore of a game. Raiders, obviously, Dallas, obviously, taking on the G-Men. Giants are plus 3.5. I would flip a coin. I think of all the teams, I think the Giants probably have the best chance to win that game. Giants, the Jets a shot, 6.5, no way. Tennessee at 4, 2 touchdown dogs at Jacksonville. Arizona, they don't need a quarterback anyway. They might need one down the road. They won't draft one this year. They just drafted Kent Ward. Arizona, they might take a quarterback at the Rams. They'll lose that game. And then when you get below 5, you're looking at the Browns at 6. They need a quarterback. The Commanders don't. New Orleans might. Kansas City, Cincinnati. All right, so that's the stuff there. Now, how do you actually get, assuming this plays out, Raiders 1, Giants 2, Jets 3? How do you actually get this where the Jets can entice the Raiders enough to actually make a trade with them? And maybe even somebody else behind the Jets, but this is where all the assets that Muji collected, obviously very, very favorable for the Jets if they want to jump in, to the top spot. Well, first of all, you've got to at least hold on to the notion, and this is a beautiful thing. There aren't many teams dumber in the NFL than the New York Jets. Here's one. It's the Raiders. I don't care if they're in Oakland. I don't care if they're in Vegas. They are dumb, and they are bad. And they are also still, because of Davis, they are still beholden to certain things that, at least from a player characteristic interpretation point of view as they scout these players, I don't think it's completely impossible that the Raiders take Dante Moore. I really don't. Number one, you think about the proximity, the state of Oregon to the state of Nevada. Now, if it's me, I wouldn't let that factor into the decision because Mendoza is just better, period. But you never know with the Raiders. Now, let's say the Raiders this morning, and there was a report that they might be considering more. Again, you throw it out there, you entice teams to make trades. You can't get too wrapped up in that nonsense there. Much like with Boris and the reports and all the baseball stuff floating out there. 90% of it's a bunch of bullshit. We all know that. You got to be smart to sort through it. However, I do really think that they could fall in love with Dante Moore if they haven't already. And they're playing each other next week in the semifinals. You'll get the Mendoza-Moore thing, more matchup. And honestly, this is going to sound crazy. I actually almost want, even though I'm really rooting for Indiana, I just love their story. It's amazing. I hadn't been to the Rose Bowl since, 1968? I mean, it's always Bobby Knight Hoosiers basketball. It's great to see that. And their coach is phenomenal. But if Oregon were to win and Dante Moore was to shine, that might be like the final impetus, number one, for Dante Moore to declare that he's coming out, because that still has to happen. Now, if that doesn't happen, we're screwed, because then they're definitely taking Mendoza. And if Moore does come out, I don't know what the exact calculus would be for the Raiders. Again, is it geography that could sell some more tickets? Is it they think he's a slightly better athlete? Is it that now this part could be true, and this is where I think there's just enough viability to the possibility, the reports, or at least the industry speculation. I wouldn't call it a hard report. I'd call it an industry speculation that the Raiders might take more. He's young. He is 20. All right. Now, he's also pretty light, and in terms of weight, 6'3", he's 204, 205. How much functional weight can you pop on that kind of frame now and not have it adversely impact his measurables as he gets deeper into his career? I don't have that worry with Mendoza because he's already carrying around 225. So to me, to get to, as I said before, 232, 233, 235 in 3-4 years, that's a given. The weight room, nutrition, just a little change of how he trains and how he approaches his career, his job. I think that's very plausible. It's going to happen. And I don't think he's going to lose anything. More, I don't know. But what the Raiders could be thinking here is that because he's so young, that there might be some much more untapped potential that they might be willing, if they are enticed enough, to maybe say, you know what? We view both of these prospects kind of the same. Maybe we like Mendoza a little more for 2026. Maybe we're convinced that more in 2028 and beyond, a couple of years down the road, can be slightly better or comparable. Well, if you start knocking down that door with multiple first-round picks, the Raiders just might be dumb enough to do it. They really, really might be. And if that's the case, I trust Muji completely to be able to do that. I really do. Let's see here, guys. Let's see. Brad from Mineola at Brad Kaufman, 3582. Appreciate the super chat there. Hey, we're figuring this out. Give me money. Give me money. Hey, how easy is this? I'll leave the fan. I set up shop in my office. People give me money. Brad from Mineola. I can't wait for the phone calls, and I could spit that fire the way you got this BT to the moon, no doubt. That is the goal. That is the objective. Now we have. I should tell you this. We have already secured, and I want to be upfront with you guys as I always am. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's Saturday, so it's definitely not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen Monday. It is going to happen where you will have an ability to call BT Unleashed. That is something I want. That is something I need. That is something we're doing, period. Nothing else like, well, maybe. It's going to happen. I just can't tell you exactly when. Now, we've already secured the phone number. That's already done. We already have the number. So there's things behind the scenes I won't bore you with. You technical people, you can probably imagine mixers and other laptops and a full-time producer when my son's, not in science class as a fifth grader. So these are all things we got to figure out, and we will. But yeah, I was pumped. I came in this morning to get ready for the show. And listen, I'm still sitting here watching YouTube tutorials, how to make this better, how to do all the things we're going to do. And it's the monetization process for YouTube is not easy. And it's a little overwhelming when you go from a conventional terrestrial radio job, which I've had my entire life, to opening up this broad new world, which is amazing, a little daunting and less daunting by the day, but amazing to me because I got no limits now. I could do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want, to whatever extent I want. Yankees fire somebody, bang, we're live. God forbid, I don't even want to say somebody gets hurt for the Knicks. Knicks make a trade, boom, we're live. Jets make a trade, bang, we're live. Shane gets fired, which won't happen, but should, boom, we're live. So I'm loving it, but I'm figuring things out a little bit still, as you guys can tell. But when I signed on today, I finally had that last level of monetization. Like you've got to I hit the benchmarks immediately, thanks to you guys. I didn't do anything. You guys supported me. 1,000 subs right away, 4,000 viewing hours right away. And then what happens, and I understand it's a process where then YouTube's got to dive in. Their people have to dive in to make sure it's all legit. There's no fake subscribers or fake likes and comments. If I get to that point, then I'm just leaving the business altogether because then something went really wrong. Then I will become a coach, like I used to think about back in the day, right? I don't know if I might have to move, but I would switch careers. I'm kidding. This is great. This is great. I'm really, really enjoying this. I'm really, really loving it. But when I came in today, that last evaluation on their end popped, and there was like a little, I don't know, a little metal. What am I going to do with that? But a little metal that said, hey, you're fully cleared. Then you got to start checking a million freaking boxes. You got to start linking bank accounts, which is what my wife is doing right now. I'm telling you, it's a family show. It is, well, at least it's a family operation. There are a couple of curse words, so I try to keep it kind of clean, but sometimes things just happen. Let's see here. All right, so I'm figuring out the super chats. I'm seeing a bunch. I don't want to ignore you guys. Armand, $20. That's incredibly generous. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. I really, really, really appreciate that. At Nate_Jets. Listen to you all on different platforms. Growing up in New York City, so you probably go back to my days at 1050. Wow, maybe the Wheelhouse. Maybe the Nick post-game show on MSG. God, I was horrible at that. I had no idea what I was doing. YouTube's the most enjoyable way to continue and consume things, in my opinion. You're going to kill it, BT. That's the objective, no doubt. All right, Whoman4766. Well, these things are popping up. Look at this. I love the action. It's like when I'm playing blackjack in the casino. I got two hands and all the little side bets. A lot of things happen, and I like this. The busier, the better. This fits my mind. All right, BT, what's the plan for the Jets if Moore doesn't come out and Mendoza goes to the Raiders? Okay. Well, at that point, and that is a very important question in this equation, obviously, if Moore plays really well, and he played okay yesterday, he was fine. He was good. If he comes out, then if he comes out and the Raiders don't take him, I'm not taking Dante Moore for the Jets myself. I'm not doing it. I'm just not. So I'm going to pass on that. And now I'm open for business. Oh, the Browns, whomever, the Cardinals, you want him? Guess what? I might take him. Now I hold you hostage, and I need multiple first-round picks and maybe a good, useful, young, cheap, really productive players too, as well. And I'll build out my roster. And whatever, I'll get a bridge quarterback, and I'll go to work in 2027. Like, that's the beautiful thing about this, guys. Like, the Jets really do control, now, not 2026 as much. They absolutely, and I've said this, 2027, whatever they want to do, they could do. And I mean anything, all right? This year, most of what they can do, they can control, except forcing the Raiders not to take Mendoza. Because if they are really, truly compelled to do it, which I'm a little less certain that they are than maybe others, well, then there's always an avenue for dialogue. There's always a means for conversation. And there's always the ability to present somebody with a deal that they cannot turn down. And that onus is on the Jets. Not me, not you. We can scream and shout all we want on BT Unleashed, which I will, to do it. But it's up to them. The Jets got to have the appetite to part with that draft capital. Hopefully Woody just stays out of it and sitting on a beach somewhere in a hammock, not getting in the way. Woody, just stay out of the way. Just stay out of let the football people do. Let them work. You can watch. You can even come into a room and poke your head in. Don't say a word. Don't get involved. Cut the checks. As they used to say, go make yourself small. That's an old school expression. Hey, kid, go make yourself small. So I think these developments are incredibly encouraging. Like, I am really excited for the future. You guys know that. Now, when you look at Mendoza, just in terms of pure stature, 6'5", 225, Moore 6'3", 206, but he is young. And then Ty Simpson, 6'2", 208. He is obviously a couple of tiers down from where certainly from where Mendoza is, and to me, even where Dante Moore is. Now, this one coming in from Joe, that is a tricky handle to read. So, Joe, I'm sorry about that. At Joe QB, I'm going to go with that. My bad, buddy. Why is Gruden not a legit option to replace Aaron Glenn? We need a real proven next-level coach who specifically has quarterback coaching experience to turn this offense around and develop these quarterbacks. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Joe. Listen, number one, I want to roll back with Aaron Glenn because I just don't think there's enough evidence that he can't coach. Now, there's not a whole lot of evidence that he can, to be fair. That's a very nuanced statement. But, and I've done this on previous shows, so I don't just want to always reset points and be repetitive. I want to push this thing forward. But, Joe, to answer you succinctly but directly, nobody's winning. If you think that Mike Vrabel's going out with this Jets team that they ran out this year, the last, I don't mean the first, 7, 8, 9 weeks of the season. I'm talking about the whatever roster you call that, the last month or so when their point differential was the worst in December in NFL history. Well, I think you're just delusional. You can only do so much. This is not high school where you take the air out of the ball and you try to, keep it in the 40s because you don't have the athletes. Even that's hard to do. But maybe a great coach can do that, or a great high school coach, whatever. In the pros, you either have great talent or you don't. And if you have good talent versus great talent and you have a great coach, well, that good talent can elevate. When you have shit talent, and they have none. I mean, too many of their starters are backups, and then too many of their backups should be taxi players, as I've said. So I would not make the move from Aaron Glenn, and I don't believe that they will. I don't care what reports are out there. I'm not here to, dump on somebody's reporting. I don't do that unless I hear to the contrary, and I'm not an NFL reporter. I'd never pretend to be. If I tell you something like Jazz getting traded at some point, that's because I'm hearing that. Or a couple of years ago when I knew St. John's was going to go after Rick Pitino, it's because I heard that. Like, if I tell you something like that, it's because I know it. Now, that doesn't mean that things can't change in terms of opinions or, negotiations can't break down. But I'm not here to break news. I'm here to provide content and let it rip and get loose and have a blast with you guys and grow this thing out. So I'm not going to refute reports. But I myself, I find it almost impossible to believe that under any fair measurement, under any fully transparent and on the up evaluation, that the Jets would look at Aaron Glenn and say, there is no way we can bring him back for year 2. I just think that that's unfair. Now, I also think it's misleading or misguided or even just overly ambitious to say, oh, yeah, there's a lot of signs here that Glenn is the guy. I don't really see any signs except that special teams was great. Penalties did go down about 7 or 8 spots in the NFL. And those are little things that I wanted to see corrected, which have been corrected. And, oh, yeah, by the way, the Jets have, number 7? I want to say the number 7 rushing offense without a threat in the passing game, without Garrett Wilson for 2 months, with an undrafted rookie quarterback. I mean, I don't know what you guys expect, but you got to get back to reality. And the reality for me is they are not going to move on from Glenn. They should not. And even if they did, Gruden would not be my target. He just wouldn't be. I like John. I think he's awesome on TV. I love his quarterback stuff when he does the film session with the players. I think that John Gruden's NFL success, honestly, is widely overstated. I think it's vastly overrated. He won with somebody else's roster with the Tampa Bay Bucks, right? And then he hasn't done a damn thing since. I mean, really, had a lot of middling seasons. Can you really tell me that, not, all the stuff with the emails and what happened with him with the Raiders, not to defend him there at all, but do you actually think that he had the Raiders on course, like on this trajectory to become one of the best teams in the AFC? The answer is absolutely not. So I know we fall in love with the name and the presentation, an old school gruff guy. Like, it kind of reminds us a little bit of Parcells and the way it used to be. I'm just not feeling it. Like, if they decided to fire Glenn, and again, really nothing would surprise you with this team, but like if they did, then you got to go out there and you got to make a trade for whomever loses the Steelers-Ravens game, or LaFleur, if that ends really, really poorly for the Packers. Like, that would be my plan, but I don't really dive too deeply into it in terms of bandwidth and energy, because I just don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. I don't believe it's going to happen. Wow, these super chats. I love this. How about this? At Armin-Dutta. Very generous. Thanks, man. Wish you all the best. I appreciate that. The other thing, too, now, let's incorporate the Giants here, right? Because you're sitting there and you're listening to me talking about how the Jets need to go and make that massive swing for Fernando Mendoza, which I stand by 1,000%. I don't care if he goes 11 for 17 with a pick and a fumble against Oregon and they lose the game. I will not change my opinion on by far who the best quarterback is and who I want the Jets to get if they could. Again, you can't force teams to trade. You can only entice them enough to think about making a trade with you. So now the Giants are going to get in the way here. Now, I also think the Giants could win this weekend. I really do. 3.5-point dogs, Dallas at home. Who knows where Dallas's head is? Now, Dallas will score. But, I mean, it's not inconceivable that the Giants make some plays and they win. Now, I like Jackson Dart a lot. This was probably when I go back to the party that I was at on New Year's Eve, right? I think the thing that was brought up to me the most by like by the fire pit inside when the wives were doing their things and we were doing basically just getting messed up and hanging out. I really think that it was the Jackson Dart conversation was what we talked about most of the night. And there were a lot more Giant fans there than Jet fans. I love Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart is awesome. I think Mendoza is bigger, stronger, sturdier. I think that Mendoza is more accurate. I think that Dart's more dynamic. I think they're both. Now, Mendoza's like the choir boy, and Dart is, which is a good thing. I mean, you wouldn't mind a little more pizzazz, but whatever. Dart has that pizzazz, but which is good, and that juice and that energy, that bounce, that modern athletic relatability that I think feeds into the entire locker room, which I've talked about. And that's important. You know, the white guys, the black guys, those who were devoutly religious, those who aren't, Republicans, Democrats, centrists, like the best quarterbacks connect with everybody. And I think Jackson Dart's got that gift. I really do. So I'm a huge fan of Jackson Dart. However, if the Raiders take Dante Moore and I'm the Giants, I'm taking Mendoza. And I don't mean I'm going to just present the illusion that I'm going to take Fernando Mendoza. I'm flat out taking Fernando Mendoza. And the only way I pivot at the last conceivable second is if somebody, and that would probably be the Jets or somebody else, gives me an offer that is like, and even from the Jets, like there's got to be limits. Like you're not giving up 5 first-round picks or 4 of the 5 that you have. And you're not giving up... you're not giving up 4 first-round picks in 2 seconds and Garrett Wilson. Like, you're not doing something stupid. But if somebody was compelled to do that, and I'm the Giants, well, then obviously you make the trade. But if it's not enough equity that I think is going to completely overhaul my roster and just give me this incredible infusion of potentially, because it's a crapshoot, great young players that are controllable, I'm making the trade. You know, and again, this is coming from a massive Jackson Dart fan. When I say I'm making the trade, if I'm just pushed to a spot where I have to, then I will. I'm not looking to move on from Dart, but I'm looking to be open-minded. And if somehow Fernando Mendoza falls to 2, I think you have to take him. Now, that's what I would do. Do I think that the Giants would take him? I don't. And I think part of the reason is, I mean, again, the fact that Joe Shane's going to be here is just comical. But as we all know, going back to Hard Knocks, who was the one pushing for Jackson Dart? That was Brian Dable. Now, that doesn't mean that Shane is not impressed with him at all. I'm not implying that one bit. But he's a little less married to the gentleman who stood up on the desk and said, we need this guy, guys. Let's stop messing around. Get this guy. He wanted to take him 3rd overall. Dable did. And you got to give Joe a little credit here. He showed some restraint, and he got Abdul Carter, who was a disaster for the first 13 weeks of the season. Don't tell me about the pressures. Get to the quarterback and make some actual plays when you're the 3rd overall pick and you want Lawrence Taylor's jersey number. Give me a break. But now he's starting to do that. And I always thought Abdul Carter was going to be phenomenal. A little worried about some of the stories, maybe some of the habits or the, habitually being late or falling asleep in a meeting. Those are some flares that, another reason why the Giants got to bring in a big boy coach, somebody who's done it. I mean, that's one thing that they have to do. So you never really know what the Giants are thinking these days because the Giants have been a train wreck like the Jets. But I think for the Giants, now, again, they'll present this as an option. Yeah, we're open to everything. Sure, yeah. Do I really think that I don't think that they would take him. I don't. I'm just telling you what I would do. I really, really would. All right, I want to jump into something else here very quickly. We've got 2 other things for you. The thing that bothers me, right, about the Imai contract. And by the way, keep chiming in on the Jets and Mendoza and the Giants and the coaching stuff and the quarterbacks. I'll get back to some of the chats there and some of the messages. If you're new to the show, thank you. I appreciate you guys joining me. What do we got? Number of live watches here. All right, 2,600. We got to get that up. Let's go. Spread the word. If you are new and you have yet to subscribe, by all means, please do. Like it, subscribe it, get the comments going. That's how we get the interactions, the algorithms, all these things that we know, fuel the YouTube machine. Real quick here. How about Rich Squires, 986? What's up, Rich? Rich rocking that beard, huh? Rocking the Yankee cap as well. That's why you know Rich is a good man. Congrats on the new channel, BT. Yankees comment. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but here we go. What the bleep's going on with Cashman? He's willing to give 18.5 for a crap starter for 3 years, but he passes on 3.30 ERA, solid 3 or 4. Hashtag sell the team. Listen, I mean, come on. Maybe I really haven't done it. Well, I don't think I have. I know I haven't. I haven't done it on YouTube. Maybe I need to do it on BT at least once. So I just, tap into the old soundbite, the old drop. Brian Cashman has not earned the right to rebuild the Yankees the way the Yankees need to be rebuilt. That said 3 years ago, maybe 4 at this point. Who the hell knows? Anyway, I stand by that. Brian Cashman has not done a good enough job, period. Now, I'm also not going to yell and scream because Brian Cashman's not going anywhere right now. And to me, that is one thing I have learned. When it's clear that something that we want to change is not going to change, I mean, I'm going to hit a limit as to how far and how aggressively I can protest it. You know what I mean? If we're not sure, and not that I was, let me take Tom Thibodeau. I wasn't sure what the Knicks were going to do. I said straight up when they got bounced, said it to Sal, I wouldn't bring it back. I would move on. Love Tom Thibodeau, massive respect. Got to move on. Here's why, A, B, C, boom, they did. It's working out pretty well. We'll see where it takes them. But that was different because I thought that there was a point of reflection with the Knicks upstairs that was certainly in play because there was enough smoke throughout the, little snippets here and there. If you're a big Knick guy, there were a few points where, hey, if this road trip doesn't go well, there's some rumblings. Knicks might move on from Tom Thibodeau. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a man who has been in the organization since the 90s. And he's done it, he's a Hall of Famer, Brian Cashman. He's done a great job, or he did a great job. Now I just think he does, a good job. And I want good with the Yankees. I want great because that's what the Yankees used to tell us. That's what their demands were. That's what their expectations were. Lose the World Series to the Marlins? Failure. Lose the World Series in 2001 to the Diamondbacks? Failure. Get knocked out by the Tigers or, whomever else they get knocked out? Failure. All those years, right? The Astros, Dallas Keuchel? Failure. All right, man, I'm just doing what you're telling me. So it is a failure when they don't win. They haven't won since 2009. Either way. What is he doing? I don't know. He hasn't done a damn thing. Now, I'm also not going to become unhinged yet. That's the operative word, yet. Because there are still a multitude of things the Yankees could do, as I've chronicled here on this channel, BT Unleashed, that will enable the Yankees to be in position to truly be a championship team, which right now they're not. And when I say truly be a championship team, be the best team in the American League. Not going to be easy. Toronto's really good. Trust me, I know. And the other teams in the East, the entire East has gotten better. The entire East has just taken a massive step forward. Yanks have kind of laid out. But if the Yankees get Bashette, the Yankees get another arm, or if the Yankees get Bellinger and another arm, I've laid this out, and I'll get to the Bashette stuff in a second. But to answer that question, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're thinking. I can only tell you what I would do. If I own the Yankees, man, I would just go full freaking bore. I would say, enough of this bullshit. We're winning. Screw the Dodgers. Who do the Dodgers think that they are? Doing what we used to do. No, we're coming for you. Evil empire, my behind. I mean, they're kind of slinking in the side door. I want to see the stormtroopers, kick the door down, and I want to see Darth Vader come in with that red sword and start whacking people left and right, taking over the ship, taking over the planet. They don't do that anymore. You guys know that. So, as I said, I wasn't going to get worked up. I guess I get a little bit worked out because it does bother me. But there are things that they could do, and until they don't do them, I'm going to reserve my final assessment of the Yankees offseason until that day. Now, I'll give you a little snippets here, a little dribs and drabs there, thoughts on what they should do, analysis on young players. I mean, I love talking baseball. You guys know that as much as anybody, as much as anything, family aside and religion, all that stuff. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything more that I enjoy than either being on a baseball field, watching a baseball game, or talking baseball. And basketball is pretty damn close, too. I'll talk baseball every day. So it's not that I don't want to, but I've got to at least maintain a level of, not even respect, which I try to do anyway, but a level of understanding that it's not over. They can still do things here. And I think that they will. There's no way the Yankees, even though I talked about this yesterday, there is no way that the Yankees aren't doing anything else the rest of the way. I mean, if that happens, whatever I say is going viral. And I'm not even going to try to go viral. It's just going to happen. Let's see. Aaron from Australia. How about the Bubba Gump 1972? Australia. Put a strip on a Bobby. What's up, dude? Australia. I want to go to Australia. That is just so far away. But a beautiful country. Awesome. Thank you, Aaron. And glad you have a new home. Now we needed Sal and get to talk back in the calls. Let's go Mets. So I reached out to Sal, a couple times, but the other day I said, we got to get you as a guest next week. So he's going to come. I don't know the day. I don't know the time. I've got to even figure out how to get the guest on the show, which we will do the rest of this weekend. But unless something changed on his end, which I don't anticipate, we're going to get Sal up on the show, and that'll be next week. And speaking of Sal, I was checking this morning. There are only a handful of tickets for the BT and Sal live show with Aaron Boone on January 22nd at the Vogel Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey. It's going to be awesome. Be up on the stage, food, booze, Frank Sinatra impersonator, obviously Booney. Me and Sal smack him around with the card game as well. No way we're losing that night. I mean, there's no way. Like, it's one thing. We couldn't lose when Boone challenged us and came into our old house at the Fan and challenged us in the baseball card game. And I love Boone. Boone went not 0 for 1. Booney went 0 for 2. Sal beat him. I beat him. So that was our turf then. This is our turf that night. We can't let Aaron come. He's a proud man. So I wouldn't doubt if he's doing some homework. There's no way he is coming in and beating us on stage in front of a live audience. That's going to be streamed, by the way, too. So that's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Let's see. Okay, getting a lot of that stuff there. All right, so very quickly, the Imai contract, right? This is the one thing. Now, I'm going to get on the Yankees for this, and I'm going to get on the Mets for this. See, the Yankees and Mets, they're not cheap, all right? Even though, how's cheap? That's an idiotic statement because they're not, and the payroll backs that up. Next statement. Oh, I don't know. Cohen maybe just bought the Mets just to get the Metropolitan Park and get those casinos, and the Soto thing was just a little enticement. Now he's done spending. Back to the Wilpons. Honestly, you're a clown if you think that. I'm sorry. If you think that, I can't help you. If you think that and that's your opinion, fine. That is not my opinion. What my opinion is that neither team is dumb, although sometimes they do very dumb things. Neither team is cheap. What the problem is with both of these teams is neither one of them has an ounce of creativity structuring these contracts. How come the Dodgers find a way to defray money and defer money? How come the Astros? I thought we were done with the Astros. It's one thing, for Altuve to know what pitches coming, and for those idiots to bang trash cans, and for them to cheat their way to titles and rob Aaron Judge of another MVP. That's bad enough. Now we got to sit back, minding our own business, getting ready to get into the new year. Hot stove's been quiet. I got to see Imai signs a 3-year deal for peanuts with opt-outs after each year. Why couldn't the Yankees or the Mets do that? Can somebody tell me? All we heard was, Yankees really aren't connected to Imai. Now, after the initial surge of we thought that they were, and then really for the last 2-3 weeks, there was not a shred of evidence that Imai was ever coming to the Yankees. And if you thought so, you just weren't paying attention. All right, number one. Number two, he was never connected to the New York Mets either. When you do a contract like that, especially for these two teams, right? Now, the Yankees have some interesting barriers in the sense that, all right, Cole's not going to be ready. He's making big money. Rodon's not going to be ready. He's making big money. Well, that's the exact reason why a 3-year deal with an opt-out would have been fantastic. Because if Imai would have been okay with that, and if it was presented to him by the Yankees, I would have to think he would have been okay with it. Well, guess what? If he has a kick-ass year, top 10 Cy Young, I'm not even going to go in twos. He's not Yamamoto, but 3.09 ERA and 186 whiffs and a whip barely over 1, and all the measurables are good, all the analytics are good, and it's justifiable to opt out of that deal. Well, guess what? He opts out, and you're not stuck with the money. But what you do have, number one, you're actually doing something right for your star right fielder who's getting older by the year. Can you start doing something right for Aaron Judge? I mean, I was bagging on that the other show. It's amazing to me. This guy doesn't say a word. This guy is an amazing human being, and this guy is by far the best player I've ever seen in my life. And the Yankees are dragging their feet, not being aggressive. I don't mean spending money. Understand the difference. Not being incredibly proactive and like doing things that, I don't know, maybe gives Aaron Judge a chance to join the likes of Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra. I mean, could you do that for the guy? Because he could have taken $400 million and left and got to San Francisco. And he decided not to. And this is how you pay him back. So whatever, that bothers me, right? That does bother me. Real quick, at Beater Carr, longtime fan, been listening to since 1050, even before the show with Stephen A. Wow, you are an OG. You have been around a minute. Thank you very much. That's phenomenal. Glad you're doing your own thing. Didn't have a choice. I had to get it going. I'm thrilled I did. You are the epitome of New York sports fandom. Bless you and your family. Thank you. I really appreciate that. We appreciate that. And like in terms of being, as you say, the epitome, I don't know. I mean, I'll let others say, what I do well and what I don't do well. But I do think the one thing that most of you have always felt that have listened to me is that I love what you love. Like, I might not love the Mets if you're a Mets fan. I might not love the Giants if you're a Giant fan, but I just love the New York sports machine. And I think that you can tell that it's innately in me, and it's not bullshit. It's not like faking it. It's like this stuff, this is what I wanted to do. I think you guys know that. I'm not going to get into that whole thing again now. You know that this is what I wanted to do. So I think that I certainly hope, and I believe, and I'm proud of this, that there's an element of authenticity, and there's certainly transparency. And if I make a mistake, I'll raise my hand, take the L, like the Lindor stuff, just hitting from one side, all those other things. Other things I've been, Zach Wilson, messed up, my bad. I'll take ownership of it. I think you guys appreciate that. I really do. This one's about Bashette. I'll read it. I'll get to it after. At Brendan3297. What's up, BT? Our Yanks are finally linked to Bo. I've only been saying it for about a month now, maybe more. Bo's 3 years younger than Belly. Our infield could use the all-star caliber of a bat, not to mention that he's a righty. Absolutely. Who knows? Maybe Dominguez Jones pans out in left field this year also. Thank you for that, Brendan. I appreciate it. I'm going to actually address the Bashette stuff in a minute here. But think about this too, all right? This really bothers me. Back to the Imai stuff. If it was like 5 years or, ridiculous money, all right, I can see the Yankees taking a pass. I can see the Mets taking a pass as well. But when you have a player who flat out said, I don't want to join the Dodgers, I want to beat them, and you want to talk about central casting 101, especially from the Yankees' point of view, because the Dodgers beat them in the World Series, and it was a slop fest with the errors. It was embarrassing. Then the Dodgers were talking shit about the way the Yankees run the bases and the way the Yankees play. So, to me, that would be my motivation. Like, if I was Hal, I would just be intensely, the moment I wake up, what can I do today to stick it to the Dodgers? But that's me, So, the thing about the Imai deal, though, is it would have kept everything that they're trying to keep in terms of the integrity of the payroll. And I know they've got some young pitchers that they really like. Now, if he had a bad first year and he doesn't opt out, all right, well, that's the price you got to pay for business. You're the New York Yankees. You're not the Twins or the Pirates. Big damn deal. You can't absorb it. And, oh, yeah, by the way, because he's a Japanese player, now, I don't know, but this is a fairly educated guess, you're going to be able to monetize that, 30, 40%, taken right off if you have a Japanese player making $30 million a year, what do you think you're getting back? And he's doing, even if he's not doing well, because when he first signs, there's going to be an infusion of Japanese advertising dollars. So if you pay somebody $30 million from Japan, and even if they're like, say, if they're more like a Rabu than Yamamoto, or a Rabu more than Matsui or even Tanaka, you're still going to make some of the money back. So it's not like you're even paying $30 million. The merchandising, the globalization of the game. It's just, I don't get it why they weren't in on this one. I just don't. And let's say everybody says, well, he's not quite like Yamamoto. What if he actually is? And what if, with Cole coming back healthy, imagine a rotation. Now, this is fairy tale because he's not coming, but this is why it bothered me. Imagine Gary, I'm talking about in like June, July, when the rust is off and everybody's healthy, and now it's full go, right? Cole, Fried, Yamamoto, Imai, Rodon, Schlittler, Rodon. Go, guess what? Oh, Clark Schmidt's coming back from Tommy John, sir, in August. We're going to put you in the bullpen. Oh, Will Warren, pretty good rookie year. You know what? We'll put you in the bullpen for a little bit. We're going to get another bullpen arm. And oh, yeah, by the way, we got Bashette, and we did these other things that we've done. We're now in a position to win a championship. I don't know. And like for the Mets, to me, you can make a case it's almost more, and the Mets were never remotely connected to him, almost more appealing from the Mets' perspective to have been on Imai on this kind of a deal. Because you got McClain, who I love, right? Mets need pitching. I mean, news at 11, news flash, breaking news. Like they need pitching in the worst conceivable way. Their pitching staff is wretched right now. I mean, the Mets right now are not a good roster, right? Although I do like what they did, and I do understand what they did. I'm talking about right now for 2026, Mets going nowhere. I think we all know that. Now, it could change, but right now. So if I'm the Mets, I'm sitting there saying, all right, Skubal hasn't been dealt yet. All right, I'm not giving up McClain for a rental. Some of you would. I wouldn't. He's that special. I love him, right? So by signing Imai, I don't have to give up Tong or Sproat. So when Skubal is available, I have those in my, that's still at my disposal. That's still in my trade arsenal. Not to mention Jet Williams and Ben, whatever else they might want to do trade-wise, right? So you buy a potentially really, really good pitcher. It's not the 5 years that Senga got. It's 3. And it could be 1 or it could be 2 because you can opt out. He could after each year. So you insert him, in the rotation. Yeah, all right, you want to mess around. Clay Holmes is pretty good. He was the one guy who pitched fairly well in Miami that last series. I thought he had a pretty good year converting from reliever to starter, and I thought that he would. I like Clay Holmes. He's fine. Middle, back of the rotation guy. But you could have had like McClain and Imai and Peterson and whatever, and Holmes and obviously Manaea. Like you could have pieced something together. Not that you can't still do it because you can still get Peralta. But to get Peralta, you got to give stuff up. And that's what I don't get. You had the chance to get somebody who can be really, really good. Like the statistical equivalent of a pitcher, maybe slightly less than Peralta. I mean, Peralta's really, really good. I'm not going to say he's going to be quite like Peralta, but 80% of Peralta or 75% of Peralta, but you're just spending money. You're not giving up any draft picks or any minor leagues, any prospects. So you could still do the Skubal stuff. You could still do something big at the trade deadline. Both of these teams missed the mark. And both of these teams better find a way soon to figure out how to begin thinking in a modern way and constructing deals in a modern way. Like, I still think they're thinking the old way. I want the AAV, 5 years. Come on, man. You got to get creative. Teams are beating you to the punch. Hey, the Red Sox did it with Bregman. They did it. They did it last year. And it might work out because he very well might go back there. So I was very not surprised because I knew he wasn't coming here, but very disappointed. It just, I don't know. I thought it would give both teams potential top of the rotation arm while preserving the stable of young players. To me, it would have made a ton of sense. They didn't do it. And I don't understand why. I really, really do not. Let me see here. At Dan M, there's a lot of letters and whatever there, so not trying to just omit that, Dan. I don't know what that is. Does anybody ever try to listen on Spotify? For some reason, it's never live. It always uploads the episode 24 hours later. I have a sense whose fault that might be, but I'm not going to call her out. That could also be a Spotify issue, which we're also new to. So we are up on Spotify. We will eventually be up on Apple. So just the audio elements are there. I don't really know how Spotify works in terms of the download and the upload and when we do what we do on our end, which we've done for every episode since we did that. Well, not every, I shouldn't say that. 3 episodes, I believe, are up. So we just started that after a few of the first shows, as we try to get out of the batter's box here. But I don't know if Spotify, even if we do what we're supposed to do, and we did, does it take a full day for Spotify to download that? I don't think that it does. I don't think that it should. And I surmise whose fault it might be, but we're going to keep that one in the family, and we're going to hopefully rectify that. Oh my God, you guys are nuts. Let's see here. Is Gabe? I don't know what that means. How about? You guys are really hitting up the super chats. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys. My God, I remember how daunting it was when I was trying to figure this out, and I was laughing. And you guys who saw the first show in my basement and in my poker room, which was cool, but the audio wasn't great. The Wi-Fi wasn't great. I wanted to get this more in my office. My son's like, "Oh, Dad, enable this, enable that, do this, super chats, this, some chat." I'm like, dude, can I please get on the air? I just got to see a green dot at me. I got to know we're live. I got to have a little lighting that I'm capable of turning on, which I have. The microphone, that's simple because I've used it for Unkillable for the old stuff on Odyssey with the Jets, which I now do here. I mean, come on, let me figure it out. But we have figured it out. Oh, while we're doing that, so I want to give you guys a little look behind the scenes. I just have to find the picture. Pardon me. I'm really, really excited for this. All right, that's not it. All right, let's see. Hold on, guys. All right, so what we're doing is, and it's going to take, number one, we have to make it, and that I would say is probably about, it's only because one of my good friends runs the business, it's probably going to take like 2 or 3 days. So I'm just finishing up on the concepts. That's really the only holdup here. But eventually what we're going to do is behind me is going to look like that. All right, I put this on social media. You guys have seen that. That's going to be the backdrop, and it's going to go from the top of the wall. You see the St. John's Big East Championship. You see the Emmy up there. Shout out to me with the Emmy. I'm kidding. But above the bookshelves, it is going to actually look like that. So it's going to look really, really nice, and I'm really excited about it. Now, I've got to find a way. Am I going to actually drill it into the top? I won't do this, but drill it in and be able to pull it down. Is it going to be standing with some fixtures that actually support it? I'm not 100% sure yet, but that is coming. So I really do like this backdrop, and many of you have commented. By the way, let me know what you guys think about this. If you like this, I'm not going to do it anyway, but I am curious. I mean, that was one that I kind of tinkered with a little bit here, coming out of the wall, BT Unleashed. These are all things that we are finalizing as we build this out. I do like myself. There's a part of me that kind of likes, let me see it. I'll just do this for a second. Like you could go up there, like you can see that was, I told the story throwing out the pitch of the A's game. That's an autographed picture underneath it from Bob Feller. Obviously the Dante jersey, picture of DiMaggio, some other stuff, whatever, some St. John's bobbleheads, Coach Carnesecca, rest in peace, Coach Rick, all that stuff. But I do like the personalization, and many of you have said, like, and I actually took a few things down. I've got a box in on the other side of my home office where it was almost just too busy. It was too noisy. I wanted to clean it up a little bit, and I did. And there's still a lot of things up there that you can kind of see like that. Nick Basketball is signed by Clyde Frazier, some other stuff. And I know that you guys like that because I've gotten a lot of comments from you where you said, wow, as I've kind of watched these pods here and these shows on YouTube and more familiar with the setup, I find myself bouncing around the shelves and focusing on certain things and wondering what it is and where you got it. And there's going to be some storytelling too. I told you the story about how I actually got the Hank Aaron baseball. But I didn't get it. My dad got it years ago when he was playing softball for the police team, and they went to Ohio, and they got rained out, and he met Hank Aaron at a steakhouse that night. A couple of guys from the NYPD softball team went there to play, went out to eat, and he got the Hank Aaron ball. And when I was like 9 or 10, I went down to the basement. I went to his trophy case. I took it. And I was throwing it on the concrete, doing short hops like I was Bucky Dent, or who were probably more like Greg Nettles with my buddy Tommy. And I basically scuffed up the baseball. And then all those years later, and amazingly, my dad didn't flip out. He only got mad at 2 things: school or disrespect, like towards an adult. Or everything else he was pretty cool with. And he didn't get mad because he's like, he knew I love baseball and I was playing. But what I did all those years later, my first radio job in '99, I had a chance to meet Pete Rose. So I got a ball signed by Pete, and I said, hey, Dad, I said, I know you got the all-time home run leader, his ball. Now I've got the hit king. Here's it. This is for me. And ironically, He's got the Pete Rose ball, and a couple of years ago, he wound up giving me the Hank Aaron ball when we moved into our new home. So those are kind of the stories. I'll take you behind the scenes and share some of that stuff, which I really enjoy. The other thing, and I'll give you something on Bo Bichette, read some more stuff, read some more comments. Make sure you guys please like, subscribe. We're already kind of getting towards 12,000. I was thinking about going higher, and I might, but I want to be by at least, I think this is shortchanging it, quite frankly, but I want to be at least by 20,000 subscriptions by the end of January. We've got a whole month to get 9,000. Like, we got 11 in 5 or 6 days. Now, the word's going to have to get out there more. Most people who follow me regularly have already subscribed, so I don't think that it's going to be flooding in. Maybe it will. I hope it does. But I think 20,000 is a good target for the end of the month. Hopefully we blow by it. But to do that, I'm going to need your help. You know that. And that's what we'll do. And one of the other things, too, on this channel, I did it on Instagram a few times, like if I would drop my son off, usually at football practice, because I don't really watch many of the football practices. I don't want to be up his behind. Let him do his thing. I don't coach football. Go out there, learn how to, take instruction, which he does well from other coaches. And, just you don't need daddy up your behind every practice, right? So anyway, I might drop him off where he goes with his buddy, his best friend. And sometimes when I would drop him off, I would do a little video, right, in the parking lot in my phone, and I would put it on Instagram. And it was always about, once in a while, like about the Jets or something, but it was generally always about something with youth sports. And those of you who know me know it's a tremendous passion. I coach. I played Division I. My background, and I just love it, right? And one of the things that I've always been very mindful of, because I know when you get into it, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. So if you're not into youth sports here, I'm not going to belabor this now. I'm just getting to something else that is on the site, all right? And that I will do with some good frequency here. I want to make it easier for you, because I know when I was playing ball, it was a totally different world. Now, when you are a parent and your son or daughter is just, once you get past that T-ball stage, and it's like, okay, my son or daughter, they could play a little bit. They're pretty good. They like the game. Where do I go? What am I going travel? Am I going club? What kind of bat do I need? Is it a U-trip? Is it USA? Is it a drop 10? Is it a drop 11? Is it a drop 8? What's the BB core like? I remember getting slammed with this stuff. I'm like, what? And, again, this is coming from somebody who played Division I. We had like one bat in first and second grade. I remember because my dad was the coach, all the coaches got this green military sack, which I guarantee was from Vietnam somewhere along the way. Guaranteed. 2 or 3. They weren't even helmets. They were like ear flaps, right? And I think the first year the bats may have even been wooden. And then I got Black Magic, Easton, if you know, the Easton green one, whatever. But it was just kind of easier to navigate playing youth sports back then. And, he's 10, my daughter's 9. I've coached, I've watched enough. I think I know the game, and I think I know the terrain, certainly in New Jersey, and even on the national level a little bit, because we've done some national events. I want to make your indoctrination into youth sports as easy and as enjoyable as it could be, because it's overwhelming. And listen, I'm going to get into some episodes where I'm going to flat out tell you about some of the mistakes that I made. I've done a lot of things right. I live and learn, made a couple of mistakes, and I'm going to be very transparent with that stuff. So I did a show. It's probably about 40 minutes, an episode on the channel, and it's about basically, I don't want to give it away, but the do's and don'ts as you get ready to start the journey. Just having your little one, and I mean like little. This is not about, the best club team. This particular one is about your daughter or your son is 5, 4, 5. You're just starting around, messing around in the yard. They're just getting ready to go to T-ball. It's really the earliest indoctrination to that. So go check it out if you're into it. And by the way, with that stuff, I'm going to have coaches on. I'm going to have players on. That's going to be pretty interview heavy as well. I think that's a really important aspect of it for sure. What else we got here? Okay. Yep. All right, super chats. Go to the front of the line, and guys making no money right now. Let's get them live. I mean, listen, I just started this thing, I'll figure all that stuff out another time. But I'm sitting here, and yesterday was very interesting sports day, right? All the Mendoza stuff. Got to watch Dante Moore, Ty Simpson. You heard what I said about the Jets and even the Giants. Laid it out there. Touched on Imai. And now let me wrap it up with Bashette. All right. Now, I think that the Yankees' interest in Bashette is real enough where there's a chance he's a Yankee. I know many of you, I'm not going to take the bait. I'm not going to be fooled there. I get it. You've been burned before, understood. How many times have we heard Brian Cashman say, got to do your due diligence? And I think many of you right now might be thinking that that's what this is. Yankees just kicking the tires, put out the presentation that they're taking a swing so their fans can't turn on them, much like we gave Soto a pretty good offer. Mets just came in the game a little bit more. No, hey, we gave Yamamoto. Actually, the Yamamoto deal was the highest AAV. Yankees and Mets got played in that negotiation. He was never coming here. But at least by the Yankees doing that, and probably knowing that he was always going to go to the Dodgers on some level, the Yankees were able to say, we tried. We gave him the highest AAV. Just went to the Dodgers, whatever. I don't necessarily think that this is it, or this is the same thing. I think that there's real, genuine interest from the Yankees' part to Bashette, because really, it makes too much sense for it not to be, guys. If you really think about this, what do the Yankees truly need? Number one, they need a righty stick. They need a righty hitter, and preferably a righty. All right, Stanton, let's get past the usual 50 or 60 missed games. Stanton comes back, runs into a bunch of bombs. All right, whatever. All right, great. Can't run, can't field, can't throw. When he hits a home run, it's awesome. I mean, he's holding them back, right? I don't mean that kind of righty bat. I mean the kind of righty bat that can flirt with 300, and is going to give you the at-bats that, maybe like first, second year DJ LeMahieu, but even more punch, like that kind of presence. And, he's not a perfect fit at shortstop. He could play shortstop a little bit this year when Volpe's getting healed and Caballero stays in that super sub kind of a role. That will be fantastic. But I think it fits the Yankees' plan. And I've said this as early and as before anybody. When McMahon's, you can even trade McMahon because he's only making 16 over the next 32 total. But so if you don't want to trade McMahon, or maybe if nobody wants to trade for McMahon, then what you do is you have Bashette at shortstop now, and then when McMahon's contract is up, boom, he slides over perfectly to third base, right? If you could play shortstop, even if you're a little deficient, which he is, you can handle third base. Or you could have him, and then obviously when Lombard is ready, and that's a key cog in all this. Like, if Lombard's the real deal, it changes so much for the Yankees. If he's not, if he's another in the long line of, all right, a little overhyped, here we go, not really what we thought he'd be, which I think he's different, but we'll see. I've said that before, but not as much as I've said with him. I do think he's a little different. We'll see. But if he's the real deal, you got Lombard at short, you got obviously Bashette at third base, and then if Volpe can get on base a little bit more, boom, you kick him over to second base, you trade Jazz, and I've said that they're going to trade Jazz, and I believe that, and I believe that they will. And you could trade Jazz for maybe a starting pitcher. You could trade Jazz for maybe a left fielder and a relief arm, and you could also, there's a lot of things the Yankees could still do. You could trade for Quan. You could give those young guys some run in left field, whether it's Jones or Dominguez, see what happens. It just really, I think Bashette just changes something about the Yankees. Like Bellinger, I want Bellinger back. I'm not going to jump through hoops to get Bellinger back. Let's not go nuts here. I do think that the Bellinger aura has been a little overstated. I mean, come on, tap the brakes, man. He never hitting 40, never hitting 35. You're not going to hit 320. He's never going to. I don't think he's going to ever have an OPS in the mid to highest 900s. He's not that guy. He's a really good baseball player who fits New York, who Judge wants back, who could play basically 3 or 4 different spots, and he's got great value. And he's going to put the bat on the ball, pretty good wheels, winning player, he fits, culture guy. I want him back, right? And I think many of you do as well. But he doesn't change the Yankees. He just keeps the Yankees where they were. I think Bashette changes the Yankees in a way that will be palpable. I mean, that guy, he's a dog. And Bellinger's a grinder and really good, but Bichette's a dog. Like, Bichette's the kind of guy that, you run him out like in that first or second spot, man, oh man, he's just, you can do so many things lineup-wise. And I was actually spent a fair amount of time yesterday on Savant looking at his hit chart. And some of you who do this love the deep dives, know this already. Some of you who don't, he is very efficient going to right field. And by the way, you don't flirt with 300 and have those kind of years as a righty if you can't go the other way. So if you thought that Bashette was a dead pull hitter like some players, then you knew. If you thought that, then he wouldn't have the hitter profile that he does. It's just not congruent. You got to go the other way. You got to hit with 2 strikes. You got to go foul pole to foul pole. And that's one of the reasons why Aaron Judge, has gone from hitting 270 to winning batting titles. Because if it's outside, he's either laying off of it or he's going to drill it to the right center gap, the seats, or down the line. And that's why Judge's average has gone up. So let me present this to you. Is there a world, right? Because I do think that Bachette's in play. I do. Is there a world where, in some order, I'm going to jot this down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to throw the names. Bashette. Now, this is fairy tale land, but I'm going to do it for a minute because this would be a World Series team. You got him, obviously. All right. You got a little Rice. You got a little Stanton over here. Stanton, whatever. I mean, it is not inconceivable that the Yankees' top 3 hitters, if they actually just had the guts to do this, could be Bo Bichette, righty, Bellinger, lefty, Judge, righty, Ben Rice, lefty, and then Stanton plugs in 5-hole, whatever. And then it does so much. Number one, you're not as lefty-laden. Bichette's just a better pure hitter, blah, blah, blah. All those things I've already discussed. But then the other thing that you do, and this has to be done. I don't want to see Grisham batting first this year. I just don't want to see him batting first. So if you make these moves here, then it puts Grisham in a place that he really should be at. Put him in the 7-hole against a tough lefty. You want to even put him 5 or 6 against the that's fine. He just can't be batting first, second, or third. That's not how you win a championship. With Trent Grisham, who couldn't even bat 200 3 of the last 5 years, whatever it is. He's your leadoff hitter. He's going to bat second? No, it's taking the cheap way out. And you know what's crazy about this? If the Yankees didn't miscalculate, which they did, if they didn't miscalculate the Grisham qualifying offer, then what I just presented to you, the Bashette, Bellinger, Judge, Rice, etc., so on and so forth, possibility would be much more plausible. Because the $22 million that they're giving Grisham, all right, could have been spread out, and then it's how they messed that up is amazing to me. The levels that they miscalculated that. And again, I know what Cashman said. I don't know. And listen, Aaron Boone's even told me when I pushed back to him with Grisham, he's like, dude, you're wrong. And I listen, he's the manager. I get it. And it's not just him blindly defending a player, because we've had very honest conversations, I won't divulge who, about certain players where he's like, nah, he's never going to be good at this or that. He straight up says, dude, you're sleeping on Grisham. And I'm like, dude, he hits 190 every year, except last year. The one thing that he did say, which I think is fair, doesn't change my opinion. I wouldn't have brought him back, but his defensive metrics absolutely dropped pretty sharply a year ago. And he had a hamstring issue. And in center field, when you're getting less action than first base, catcher, shortstop, third, you have a rough month where you're just not getting the balls that you usually track. You're going to take a little bit of a downturn. So I do think we've overdone that. I'm with Boone on that, where people now say, oh, he's fallen off the planet defensively. No, he has not. He did have a year that was identifiably a little bit different than the previous one defensively and the other ones where he won a Gold Glove, but he could still get it in center field. That's not my issue. My issue is strikes out a ton, can't hit lefties, don't want him hitting first or second. That's my problem with him. So, but full transparency, Boone pushes back on that one with me. He definitely does. What else do I want to let you guys know? Obviously, like and subscribe. I told you guys about there was another suite that was sold yesterday, so there's really only a couple of BT and South show tickets. The live show, myconcerts.net, coming up on January 22nd with me and Sal live. The aforementioned Aaron Boone, going to be a blast. Touched on the Imai contract, the Yankees and the Mets, their inability to be creative and just have some forethought. It's like this shit sneaks up on them. Ooh, all these teams have started to do these creative contracts. Well, how about you go to school and you actually change your ways and you start doing it. And that's part of the problem with the Yankees. I mean, I can't start launching into this because this will be another hour. But one of the things that really bothers me about them, not the spending, it's how they spend, not that they don't spend. That's obvious. But there's just too many voices in that building that have been espousing the same thing for too long. And I know that they brought in Sabian. I know that they brought in Omar Minaya a couple of years ago. I mean, do they really let those guys eat? I'm not saying that they mute them, that it was just hirings to pacify us and shut us up. But the Yankees, and this is a compliment in a lot of ways, the Yankees have been incredibly stable all these years. And the Yankees, because the Knicks have just started this, of all the teams here, they're the one team that you know is showing up and you have a chance to do something with. So let's not get it twisted with the Yankees. They're not what they used to be, but they're certainly not the way some of you, either self-loathing Yankee fans or Yankee haters, position them to be. That's just not accurate. It's wildly inaccurate, to be more specific. But I think that they're too married to their old thoughts, their old concepts. And, I think that that's one of the reasons why I have led the charge for some new blood in the front office. I think, again, Brian Cashman's a Hall of Famer. It's never personal. I like the guy. He's a pit bull. He's scrappy. He's incredibly successful. But he's also been approaching building a championship team the same way, and it has not worked. And it's not just getting sometimes the wrong guys. Now you're seeing the new wave of these other teams that are adjusting with how they do the contracts and how they pursue certain players. Yanks aren't doing that, and I don't know why. And the Mets didn't do it either with Imai. And as I outlined before, if you missed it, you can go back and rewind it there, watch it. I thought the Yanks and the Mets, for him to sign for 3 years, $63 million with opt-outs after 1 and 2, and neither the Yankees or the Mets to be seriously seated at the table is the height of irresponsibility. It is just mind-numbingly dumb and lacks vision, and it's anything but proactive. So I wish I had a better answer for you. I don't. I don't run the Yankees. I'm not their GM. I don't run the Mets. I'm not their GM. I'm just telling you what bothers me. Is there anything that I missed here? Let's see here. This was on, it's early enough. That's on Mendoza. Yeah, JP Girl Dad. What up, JP? Mendoza looked really great against Bama. He's looked great all year. Good reads, true. Good arm, good mobility. I wasn't impressed with Moore. Yeah, I wouldn't let the Dante Moore game. And he was okay. He had one good half, one bad half. He's young. He's 20. Hasn't played nearly as much football as Mendoza has. So I would not give up on Dante Moore. I don't want the Jets to draft him at 3 if he comes out and Mendoza's gone, because I need a little bit more of a sure thing. And to me, there's no doubt Mendoza is the sure thing. Now, I'm not saying he comes in and he's Josh Allen right away. I could promise you, from a decision-making perspective, he is absolutely the guy. The processing, the identification, no doubt. At Nick, LFGM. Rooting on those Metsies. I don't know. What's up, Nick? I don't understand how anybody that has seen Dart play a full game could say they should take Mendoza. He hasn't taken a single snap. One of the most annoying takes going around as of recently. All right, Nick, I get that. I appreciate the pushback. I really do. Now, I prefaced everything that I said about Jackson Dart. I love the kid. But when there's somebody else that you see that you might have access to that you love more and is bigger and stronger and less athletic, but it's not like Eli versus Michael Vick disparity. I mean, Mendoza's a good athlete. Ran a 4.7 change, whatever it is. Pretty good for a quarterback, man. That's pretty good. I think Eli ran a 4.9 at Ole Miss, and those 0.2 of a second, that matters. Escapability, getting out of the pocket, stepping up, making a play. Like, it doesn't seem like 4.9, 4.7's a lot. Trust me, it is. Like, if you run a 7.0 if you're going 60-yard dash for baseball, say you run a 7.0, you run a 6.7, I mean, that is all the world, unless you're a first baseman or a catcher, maybe even a third baseman. Like those 0.2 of a tick, it matters, dude. And when you're big and he's 6'3" and he's 240, he's 225, 226 now, and he's going to put on that weight like easily and naturally and won't prevent him from being maintaining that athleticism. There's nothing else I need to see. I just think I love Dart. I just think that Mendoza processes better. I think he is physical. I know he's physically bigger and stronger. And, I don't get it. You haven't heard me get on Dart too much about playing recklessly because You got to let a wild dog eat sometimes. He's got to go out to the schoolyard. And he's got to figure out what's out there. And eventually, another pit bull who's a little tougher is going to get him, and he's going to say, all right, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. Like, to think that Jackson Dart's not going to learn that he's got to slide and get out of bounds a little bit more, I think that that's just irresponsible. I think that that's unfair to Dart. He's going to learn that, and he's going to do that. Even with that being said, the things that Mendoza's better at are the things that win you, that keep the drives going. That 3rd and 3, tiny window, perfect read, immediate dissection. It's Mendoza. That's the guy that I want. I want him for the Jets. And if the Giants were to have access to him, I would take him. And I'm not into the hot takes. I have no time for that. It's a waste of time. I can't stand hot takes. Now, it's one thing to have a dumb take. I'll have plenty of those. It's one thing to have an erroneous take, be proven wrong. I've already have, and I will continue to have plenty of those. I'm not a hot take guy. I actually loathe the hot take machine. It is lazy, it is juvenile, and it is just something I'm not interested in doing. All right, so this is not a hot take. This has been well thought out. Go and if you don't, I know this sounds corny. Go check my ex. Go back months ago when everybody's now jumping in. Giants should take Mendoza. Look what I said months ago about Mendoza. Months ago. Not weeks, months. So this has been a well-crafted, well-calculated, well-explored, route that I've taken to formulate my opinion. Doesn't mean I'll be right, but that's absolutely my opinion. Let's see. Subdivisions. What's going on? BT, Happy New Year. Chris here, Evan's friend. I think, all right, I know this guy. The Twitter stats guy. Yes. I remember going to, I think you told us Evan hit like 112, whatever it was, 087 in Twitter baseball. I think his pitching stats were okay. Hope 26 brings you and the family happiness, health, and the best of luck. Love the new podcast. Great job. Sometime come on my show. Thank you, man. I appreciate that, Chris. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that I definitely remember you because you called me and Sal, and you gave us the numbers, and we were having fun with that. I don't know if you're the same guy that Evan references from time to time, like talking sports at the bus stop. If you are, well, then I definitely know you. And even if you're not, I know you from when you called us at the Fan and all the Twitter stuff. That was funny. Oh, my God. I mean, yeah, we have all seen the video of Evan running down the line. Give him credit, man. He's out there. He's playing. He is. At Samuel Lamb D2S. Love listening to you, BT. Keep being you, doing what you're doing. Yeah. Thank you. And the day that I'm no longer me is the day that, honestly, I stopped doing this. Really. I think that it's very easy. I think it's hard to do a good show. I think it's hard to pump out meaningful, interesting, thought-provoking content. And that's my challenge. And that's one of the biggest challenges of anybody in the business. It's not hard for me to be me because pretty much what you see here is kind of who I am. And again, yeah, there's a heightened presentation. I know I'm doing a show. You're a performer. I mean, literally, you're performing. So yeah, like I'm not walking around the house, even though I do talk with my hands a lot. I can't help it, and I won't apologize for it. But I get on this show, and I'm just me. And I think that that's one of the reasons why it's worked for my career so far. And that's one of the reasons why I know it's going to work on YouTube, because this is a world with no boundaries. I mean, listen, you guys know I have love for the Fan. I'll never say otherwise. I loved it there. It was unfortunate the way it ended, but it's all good. And we have certainly moved on, as you can tell. And I'll still do some shows with the Fan. I love Chris and Hurley. I've known forever. A lot of respect for those people. I don't ever want it to get twisted. All right. But I've moved on because they moved on, right? In terms of the full-time role. But the thing about this is that, when I was on the Fan, like if you're at a certain part, like of Connecticut, or I know the apps are amazing and all that stuff, and the Odyssey app really is good. You can get us anywhere. But there's certain places where, even if you're driving to Manhattan, some of the radio stations don't sound as crisp here. To be able to do this, and then eventually build out the studio and add some elements like guests and like callers, this is a dream job. Yeah, I just got to make it work monetarily, and that's what we're doing. We're grinding, man. There is no, oh, wow, this is easy, man. I haven't made a freaking penny yet. I mean, I guess today with the super chats and that stuff, but literally before today it said 0.00 in terms of monetization, because until today I wasn't monetized. So it is all in, and it is my mission. As I said many times, it's not a hope, it's not a focus, it's not a belief. It is a mission. It is a mission to make this amazing. And we're going to. And we're going to do it together. I firmly believe that with everything that I have. How about Tim Thomas? Fugazi. Are you, Timmy? Tim Thomas, 85-44. If you get the reference, you get the reference. If the Jets don't get Mendoza, what are your thoughts on getting a quarterback via free agency or trade and use the draft capital to build around the quarterback? Yep. I kind of hinted at that before. Absolutely. Now, unless the Jets, I don't want them to do this, but if they fall in love with Moore and Moore's coming out and they want to take him at 3, all right, I'd give it a shot. Not what I would do right now. Still early in the evaluation process. He's got a big game next week against Indiana, the combine, the interviews, all the stuff that they'll go through, the daily dissection and the hit pieces on all the prospects and the way it works. It's so unfair to these kids. You've got other GMs, like character assassinations, hoping that teams will get scared off and somebody will drop. Like, imagine being that reprehensible of an individual where somebody who's worked their entire life running hills, lifting, quarterback coaches, grinding 7, 8, 9, 12, 15, high school, college. And you've got the audacity to plant a story that's not even true because you want it to work favorably for you on draft day. Where's your scruples? You have none. The sad part is it happens all the time. But no, I would be very okay with that. And obviously Fields is gone. Find a stopgap and then attack it in 2027. Yes. No doubt about it. That wasn't you. Okay, subdivision. All right, so, all right, you were the Evan at the Isles game when he puked. Oh my God, yes. And boy, Evan's an intro. I got love for Evan. I like Evan. And I got my fat butt on the back page of the paper. You did. WFAN's not the same without you and Sal. Kudos. Listen, I that's up for you guys to determine and interpret. I appreciate you saying that. I've always thought in my mind that BT and Sal was the kind of show like the exact kind of show that should be on WFAN. But WFAN's going to be great. WFAN's going to be fine. I'm doing my thing, and they are going to be fine because they're WFAN. They're the number one sports station in the country. What else we got here? What else here? You know what? I'm going to start. How long have we been going here? An hour and a half. Pretty much what we do. Wow, over 4,000 live viewers. So I wonder how many of you are watching on X. I'll obviously look at the analytics after. How many of you are watching on YouTube? We are something else we got to figure out, which we're almost there. We're going to link this to Instagram as well. I honestly don't know if I can get on TikTok. I say that now. I've always I got to get on TikTok. I don't know. To me, TikTok comes across as, and I really do speak from a lack of knowledge on this. This is my perception. I've never been on it, right? Some of the shows in the past that I've been on, there was hey, kind of, let's get the TikTok. I never had an account. Maybe a couple of contributions, maybe a producer uploaded something. Never my thing. When I think and maybe this is an erroneous read on my part, but when I think of TikTok, I just think of stupid, infantile stuff that I just don't really have any time or desire to jump into. But I mean, if it's going to help grow the show, and I know that it's incredibly viable in that regard, maybe I'm going to have to reconsider that. But I know we're going to definitely do Instagram and obviously integrate callers, integrate guests, and I'm really looking forward to doing that. So it is a new year. It is a new day. It is a new chapter for me, and I am so excited, and I'm so locked in, and I am on a mission. You guys know, the more you like, the more you subscribe, the more you comment, the more we get, thrown around that algorithm, which obviously is very important to get this show going and make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And, I should probably tell you guys, it's I'm not doing this wasting time waiting for the phone to ring just to jump, and they see you. This is what I'm doing. And it's awesome in terms of having fun. And just the new world has been pretty good to us so far. So I'm excited here. All right. Any other? Let's get one of these here. All right. This one is a Dan Heiston. What do we got? 2742. I appreciate that. Now that's a super chat, right? Maybe my producer could just type on the screen. What is the difference between a super chat Oh, I look like such an idiot asking, but I think that's part of the appeal of this, right? What's the difference between a super chat and a super sticker? I know the chat you could read. Hey, it's great still being able to listen to you, BT. Looking forward to hearing from you for a long time. Happy New Year. No doubt about it, Dan. Happy New Year to you as well and your entire family. I do, and I'm sure it's a very simple answer. By the way, even if one of you know what the answer is, what the differentiation is between a super chat and a super sticker, I think the quicker I figure that out, the better off we'll all be. All right, what is it, Friday? We got one more. They're popping in. I want to show you guys some love here. BT, Happy New Year. This one's from, hey, Brooklyn Blaze, huh? Is that, I know that handle from somewhere. Happy New Year to you and the family. You're going to kill it in 2026 and beyond. WF fans lost and YouTube gates. Oh, I know who that. I got you. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate that. I definitely got you, no doubt. What else do I want to tell you there? Told you about the couple of tickets left for the BT and Live show, BT and Sal Live show. Like, subscribe. Told you about the youth content. You're going to want to check that out if you. And I did it now, and it aired yesterday. I did it at this point of the season and of the calendar year because I know, as many of you, Santa brought a lot of stuff, a lot of baseball equipment. And there is definitely, now there's no guarantee he's going to be Aaron Judge. And I think if you try to make your child Aaron Judge, probably the wrong thing to do. But I do think that there's a path to go on that I went through and did a lot of things right, did a couple of things wrong that I really think that you can learn about. And I look at this channel, especially the youth content stuff, but I look at this channel because there's going to be days where there's issues, not that I'm going to shove politics down your throat, but there's going to be deeper issues than sports that I'm very qualified and very excited to talk about. Now, the difference is I'm going to be open-minded, and I'm not going to shut down some people like other people do, which I think is the height of stupidity. Like, if you're a sports person and you are so outwardly against one side, think about how dumb a business decision that is. Even if you disagree, you got to show respect. You got to welcome that. You've got to invite that conversation when it's applicable. I don't mean every day. Nobody wants to hear that. But the appeal of this channel is the ability to do that because, as many of you might not know, I literally watch the news every single night, and I watch multiple networks to get both sides. Like, I am in tune with this world because this world has a lot of problems. And it's, I don't know what I could do, but I'm gonna die trying. Make sure this world's better for our kids, because some of the things that's happening now in this world, I mean, it's dangerous stuff. All right. And I talked to you as a guy who's been on the air for 20-something years doing shows, and guy who's loud and passionate and loves sports and knows sports, and maybe a guy you want to have a beer with, somebody you think is cool. Hopefully all those things are true. But and a lot of it, I'm going to come to you as a dad and certainly as a human. And that's where I really think, and certainly where I hope, that this channel is going to hit a level that is different than it's certainly anything that I've done before. Stanford down. What's up, Stanford? Arkansas checking in. One of the 43 states that I have been to. So what's going on? Listening from Arkansas, huge Mets fan. Shows have been awesome. Hashtag Let's Go Mets. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's funny. I'll post some polls too as you go through the YouTube page, right? And one of the posts I dropped, just to kind of get a sense of where we are and maybe get away from sports, as I said before, once in a while, I asked you, how many of the 50 states have you been to? And I'm at 43. Now, haven't been to Alaska. And I almost went to Alaska with St. John's. Man, the Great Alaskan Shootout years ago. I think Jarvis was still the coach. And I couldn't swing it. I had obviously radio responsibilities, TV responsibilities, and I just couldn't go. Been to Hawaii, but like Alaska's somewhere where I want to go, like halibut fishing, salmon fishing, some sort of, like, you go to Alaska, you got to do an expedition. And that's one I've got to scratch off. That's going to be tough. But yeah, I've been to Arkansas. I appreciate you really reaching out. That's great. At Scuda Adventures, Florida, BT Unstoppable. I'm a streamer from Florida. Couple of things I would like to share to you about YouTube streaming. You should accept the PayPal as well. Scuda, like I said, one thing at a time, brother. I do not pretend to think that I have figured out this YouTube game yet. I have not. Like, I don't even know. I think I know the answer, but I'm not even sure because I've never done it. When I end the live stream, which I'm going to do in a minute or so, I don't know if I go to my analytics page. Am I going to actually see the money from the super chats? I don't know. I don't know how it works. Hopefully my wife was able to link up the bank account properly. I mean, does it take a day? Does it take a week? I don't know. All new stuff. Vincent M4T. Hey, BT, best friends with Sal. Best friends with Sal. There you go, Vin. I've known Sal since 7. I loved your show, and it was the most authentic show since Mike and the Mad Dog. Keep it going. Number one, you deserve a prize for being friends with Sal for 40 years. I'm kidding, man. You guys know I love Sal. I got a lot of love for Sal. And, you know, I remember I got hijacked one time. I don't know how. I don't know by whom. I don't even care. But we were talking about our show, and a caller had said, you know, and by the way, not just one caller. A lot of people said, you guys, and written, you know, you have a sound that was like most like Mike and Chris. It was a sound that was like that old schoolish WFAN that a lot of you love. That made it WFAN, you know? And it was never like a comparison like, you know, we're Mike and Chris. I mean, Mike and Chris are legends. I'm starting a show on YouTube here. I get it. Like, there's the hierarchy. There's the industry legends and the Mikes and the Chris's and the Imuses and, you know, the WFAN legends who are on there. Little Schmooze, little Joe B, little Boomer, like different spots, different people for sure. Mark Chernoff, of course. I'll throw Dove on there from behind the scenes. My guy Dove, shout out to him as he steps into a different stage of his career as well. He's finished up at the Fan. He was there since 87, day one, 1987. So a real shout out to Dove. I love him. He's a good man. And it was never about like, oh, yeah, you know, we didn't have 10% of the popularity of Mike and Chris, but it was never about that. It was about the unpredictability that I think that our show had. And that's something that I am really proud of. Like, there's no doubt the show had juice. Like, there was never going to be a situation ever. And I'm not saying every show was an A+, because every show, we tried to make it that, but that's just not the reality of entertainment and content producing. There's going to be some shows that are a B-, and we're like, that last hour was okay, let's go. The goal is an A+. Doesn't always happen, right? But there was not once where we mailed in a show. There was not once we just got on the air. We were like, you know, let's just fuck around today. And we have nothing to do. You know, let's take a couple of calls and let's just, you know, talk about whatever. You know, if anything, sometimes maybe we dug in too deep and went too hard and just created something that was almost, you know, too combustible. And maybe we shouldn't have done that for that topic. I don't even know if that applies. But I would much rather be guilty of that than just coming in and mailing through and just, you know, gliding through a show. And I think really, and I know not everybody was a fan of the show. I get that. I'm not delusional. Understood. But I think those of you who really love BT and Sal appreciated that energy and that juice and that, like that. We looked at it as if we had a responsibility. You know what I mean? When you get a piece of real estate at that station, especially two guys who grew up and always aspired to be there and be on the air there, you get a microphone and you don't bring it every day, shame on you. Shame on you. So, you know, we couldn't control everything, but what we could control, we absolutely controlled. And we're very proud of it, you know? All right, let me get rolling here, guys. Do me a favor. Get this out to everybody. If you're on X, appreciate you guys watching there. All right, 4,500 eyeballs on this. Not bad. Not bad. I want to get, you know, eventually more and more and more and more. The goal, love to get, and this is the objective, and I believe that we will, at least 20,000 subscriptions by the end of the month. We're at 11, almost 12 now, whatever it is, after 5, 6, 7 shows, something like that. Just rolled it out. And we rolled it out during the holidays, so many of you are away. So don't assume or just not kind of in touch with your usual listening or watching habits. Hey, if you got a buddy who loved, you know, what I do on the Fan or loved my work or, you know, and they're away and they just got back and they don't know about this new endeavor, tell them. Let them know. Share it. You know, get that out there. And we're going to obviously get this streamed up on Instagram as well, as I said. Yep, I get it. Hey, Tommy Sullivan, 2726. Yep, love the show. Thank you very much, Tommy. Listen every day. Let's hope the Yanks wake up and do something soon. I've touched on that extensively today. I've touched on that before. And while I am this close to unleashing and unloading on the New York Yankees, if they don't do anything else the rest of the winter, I'm not going to do it, and I'm not going to be that guy just to be that guy, because there's still moves to be made, and I think they'll make at least one of them that could set themselves up to be still really, really viable. 90-something wins, puncher's chance, make a midseason trade, whatever. That shouldn't be the goal, admittedly. It should be to obliterate everybody and win the World Series like it used to be the stated goal. But, I mean, we have to adjust off of their adjustments, right? So, again, just to yell at something that has not fully come to fruition yet, I'm not going to do that. It is a Friday. No shows over the weekend unless there's breaking news. I might, do I even have... I might hop on Friday after the Jets game, Sunday after the Jets game. I might do that. Obviously, if somebody signs Yankees, Bellinger, Bashette, make a trade, whatever. Same with the Mets, firing, big injury, Joe Shane gone, whatever it is. When I'm not in my conventional time slot, which is 10 a.m. almost every single day here on the YouTube channel, on X and everything, I will just pop in and I'll let you know. I'll tweet it out. I'll let everybody know. I'll give you an alert. We're going live. And that's one of the great functionalities of being able to do this, to be able to connect whenever I've got something to say. So I want you guys to have an awesome weekend. Thank you for making the rollout of the show rewarding, helping me kind of grind through some of the glitches, understanding that there's going to be some glitches. It is what it is. Every day we get a little further past that. So hopefully you had a great New Year's celebration. Can't wait for Monday. We'll put a wrap on the Jets and the Giants. We'll see if the Yanks and the Mets do anything. Johnny's tomorrow. I'll be at the Garden, 12 noon tip against Providence. They look pretty good against Georgetown. They did. I didn't like the way they looked the first 13 or 14 minutes, but Zuby was more assertive. Zuby was looking for his, which was part of the problem early on, and guys deferring a bit. They don't look the way I thought they would, but for a good chunk of that Georgetown game, after a sloppy start, they started to show some signs. So I would imagine they'll handle Providence fairly easy tomorrow. I'll see you at the Garden, and I will catch you on Monday right here, BT Unleashed. Unless something breaks, then I'll catch you when I catch you. Guys, have a great Friday. Have an awesome weekend. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you.